Sharon, Nancy, and Judy. Okay. It's just a minute after, and I'm going to get started. First, I wanted to congratulate everyone because they are on probably their first video call. Maybe not all of us, but some of us. So congratulations. Today, yes, that's our presenter. If you see him, I'll put him in the. He'll be your focus here in a minute. But the reason that we're doing this, we being purpose planning, is technology is a huge part of what we do. And Jeff, who most of you have spoken with as you call in, Jeff is my office support, and he's the one that emails you and answers the phone, and he's actually on the call here. I'm going to make him a presenter for just a second so you can say hi. Go ahead, Jeff. Oh, well, I thought I made you the presenter. There, I did. Can you hear me, Jeff?
I can hear you, yep. Hi, everybody.
So that's Jeff. He's here. He's going to be on the call with us. But the call is really to give you guys an expert's view on technology. How do we protect ourselves? What should we be doing with our passwords? What should we be concerned about? And my favorite question is, who cares? Our stuff is out there in the Ethernet, so why would we care if we're being safe or not? And so today, I have got Rodney Gillette. He is the owner of Firm IT. I'm going to go ahead and make him a presenter too. And so he's going to talk to us today about all of the technology things that sometimes we get frustrated with, but he's really going to give us points of things that we can do to make it easy for ourselves. How do we do a password? What kind of apps should we use? What's some basic security things that we should be aware of? He is former Air Force. He worked actually in civil engineering in the Air Force, but he wrote software programs for them, and he separated from the Air Force and started working with the DoD in their cybersecurity. And now he runs his own firm, and here locally, he has a presence in South Florida and here in Colorado Springs, and he is like the ethical hacker guru. So if you're worried about being hacked or you want to figure out a way to protect yourself, he is the guy to do that. And I'm going to turn this over to him.
How's everybody doing today? Good. Yeah?
Good.
Cool. Pleasure to virtually meet all of you. I just got done with a local radio interview about the same types of topics with our local KRDO news radio folks. So I appreciate all of you being here today, because out of all of the technical advantages that we have at our disposal as far as protecting systems from cyber attacks, education by far is the number one thing that you can do to protect not only yourself, but your friends. So I particularly focus on business support. We started doing a little more residential after we had a company here get hit with a Russian cyber attack here recently and hijacked all the business at home. Started writing really vulgar messages on all of their machines, and the wife ended up calling the police because she felt threatened. And then the cyber attacker remote controlled one of the computers and wrote messages saying, "Hey, tell your wife to get off the phone and stop calling the police. It won't help." So needless to say, she was freaked out and disconnected everything. And they're a friend of mine, so they called me, and I went to go take care of it. But the moral of that story is that could have been prevented if they had updated their 7-year-old router since they bought it. So one of the stats that I read this morning is that 93% of these cyber attacks that are breaking into these businesses from the outside are happening because folks haven't done updates in like the last 2 years. A lot of these hacks are taking advantage of vulnerabilities that have been taken care of years ago. So I'm going to give you some information today. I'm not trying to scare you, but if you have a glass of wine, you take a sip, that's fine. Um, I encourage you to ask questions, so feel free to stop me in the middle. It's my first time doing the presentation thing with this, so if you're writing, I'll probably be able to see. I was writing some stuff too, so put some supplemental notes in the little chat box. So let's get started with some stuff. So I am a certified ethical hacker. That is a real thing. It's a designation I got from the Electronic Commerce Council. It's a very tricky exam. It's a 4-hour exam on cyber attack methodology and all kinds of other cool things. It cost me $950 to take the test.
Hold on. Keith, can you mute us? I think Keith just logged in with a lot of feedback. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Can you hear me, Rodney? Hold on just a second. We had a lot of feedback on that one.
Okay.
Yep. So everybody, if you don't mind, if you think you're going to have feedback, just go ahead and mute. Okay. I can hear now, so I'm hoping everyone else can.
Can everybody hear me good? You good?
Yeah.
All right,
Good.
cool.
Yeah.
So the first thing to understand is what is a hacker in the first place. So there's several types of hackers out there. You have your black hat hacker. Those are the folks that are causing malicious damage. They have malicious intent. They want to destroy your business. I am a hacker. I am what's known as a white hat hacker. So I know all the black hat stuff. I'm constantly studying on how to destroy all your businesses and hack into all your information. But I use my knowledge to help protect people. So that's the biggest difference. So I use all my knowledge to be the good guy and protect everyone else from the bad guys. You have your gray hat hackers, which would be, somebody that's like your IT director during the day, and at night they're breaking into other businesses electronically and stealing information. So they kind of play both sides of the fence. You've got your script kiddies. So these are people, let's say, they open up Google and they Google, how do I hack Facebook? And then they have that open on one side, they have Facebook open on the other side, and they're like trying to follow the directions on how to do this. They don't have any trained skill sets. They have to study the profession. They're just trying to Google things and figure out how it works, and that can be destructive. You've got your state-sponsored hackers. These are your Russias, Chinas, your North Koreas, and any other country that wants to harm us. These countries, their governments pay people to break into our systems. So they are heavily funded. They have a lot of the latest and greatest technologies, and we're at war on the cyber front. And having done cybersecurity for the Department of Defense, I know this because I've seen it and I was part of it. You have your hacktivists. So those are your folks that they launch cyber attacks for some type of moral cause that they feel. One example of a group like that is Anonymous. I don't know if you've heard of that group, but they typically wear the V for Vendetta mask in a lot of their messages. So some of the stuff they decided to do was try to stop ISIS from sending out videos across the internet. Another thing they did was hack into Sony Pictures because they didn't like a movie that was released by Sony Pictures. It happened to be the one where James Franco and the other guy was like killing the prime minister of North Korea. So they hacked Sony Pictures for that. So depending on how they feel for a certain day, they'll hack something and cause a disruption. So those are your players. You don't have to have you don't have to be classified as one or the other, a black hat, gray hat. You can be multiple things at multiple times. But those are your players in the field. Are there any questions on that information? Anybody? No? Got it? Okay, moving on.
I think some people have muted themselves, or I've muted them because they've come on and they've had background noise. So let's unmute everybody. So, any questions?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, cool. So cybersecurity fundamentals. There's three parts to cybersecurity. There's availability, there's integrity, and there's confidentiality. So the availability part, when you come and you start working on your computer, there's your data there when you want to use it. That's the availability piece of it. A part of the availability part is your backups. And that's what a lot of people take for granted is your backups. So one of the things I usually ask businesses is, hey, if your system crashed right now, can you bring all your stuff back? And they'll be like, well, I'm not sure. I think we can. Maybe. It's not a good answer. So backups are part of the availability piece. The integrity part, did your data change because you wanted it to change? That's the question for integrity. So imagine you have a database with a bunch of client records, or you've got your list of all the folks you're going to send out holiday cards to, and you go in one day and it's empty. It's emptied out and there's no backup. So who had access to go in and change that document? They changed the integrity of that document. So they were to change the contents, and it's probably not because you wanted to. So that's the integrity piece. And there's ways to protect the system for that. Then there's the confidentiality part. Not everybody needs to have access to everything. So your finance department, that information of all the salaries for everybody in the organization probably shouldn't be accessible by, your IT department or your sales team. Probably shouldn't know all that stuff. So keeping barriers and only giving access to people, giving access to things that people need is part of the confidentiality piece. So it's availability, integrity, and confidentiality, and those are the three things that pretty much wrap up cybersecurity. So, sure, one of your next questions, Rodney, how are they getting in? So there's a lot of different vectors of how they're getting into systems these days. How many of you have heard of ransomware?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So pretty pervasive. Your computer will lock up and you'll have like an FBI logo or something on your screen. It'll say, hey, all your data's been encrypted. We're not going to give it back until you pay us X amount of money in Bitcoin or some other encrypted cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrencies are anonymous, so you can't see where your money is getting sent to. When ransomware first came out, they used the credit cards, and we got pretty quick on the whole credit card fraud thing. So now they make you translate your money into an anonymous currency exchange to send the money that way. In this day and time, you should not have to pay the ransom. The best way to stay protected from ransomware is to have a good backup. Worms are another type of virus. It's interesting, those computer viruses have the ability to copy themselves and discover other computers on your network and infect those too. So they're pretty dangerous. You don't want to get those things inside. Another vector is insider attacks. So the very people that work for you, the people that are closest to you, could be the ones that end up giving out your information.
Rodney?
Yes, ma'am.
So you said something. So I know what we have here, but so like at home, clients at home, they don't necessarily have all these people with access to their computers. But that ransomware, how do people, a client sitting at home, how do they get ransomware? What exposes them to that exposure? Because in my mind, I'm Joe Smith sitting at home. I don't have a whole lot, so why would they attack my computer, and how would they? Now, I get it. Businesses, we've got different things coming in and attacking us, but how do individuals get exposed, and how do they protect themselves from something like that?
Okay. So on the home front, the vulnerabilities and attack methods are a little different. A lot of folks that work at home are part of larger organizations. So they may be an employee or the owner of a large organization or any organization. So you may have all your stuff protected at work, but at home, let's say you took your work email address and you registered it with your Netflix account.
Okay.
Or registered it with your Amazon account. You just exposed your business to cyber attack by taking it outside of a professional environment and using it for something personal. So
Okay.
one of the tips I want to leave you with right now is only use your business email account and your business stuff for business. If you have a computer for business, use it for business. Keep your personal and business stuff separate.
So for those that don't, because a lot of people on this call are retired. So
Okay.
what about the people that, they're done with their business? They absolutely, they had their work stuff at home or whatever, but now they're retired. And so what's their exposure, and how do they avoid it or protect themselves? The 3 or 4 simple steps. I know one of them is, and I tell my clients all the time, if you think you got an email from me and it doesn't look like a normal email from me, don't open it. Call me first.
Yeah, please call Jennifer if you see an email that makes you feel suspicious in any way. And that goes with all of your other correspondence with IRS. You may get some stuff in the mail that looks kind of suspicious. Call them. If you have a computer, if you have a Windows computer that crashes, I don't know how many of you know what a blue screen of death is. It's been around for, years with the Microsoft world, but your computer will crash. There'll be a blue screen with a bunch of little coded areas. It will never, ever have a phone number. So if you ever get a blue screen of death with a phone number, don't call it because it's a scam. One of the other things you can do at home is your passwords. So there's an application called LastPass.com. If you're not using it, I highly recommend it, and I'll tell you why in a second. So for your passwords, the FCC recommends that your password be at least 10 characters long, and they should be a mix of uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols, special characters. No dictionary words. Dictionary words are not good. So Bronco 7 is a bad password. Password 123 is a bad password. Don't use those. Every password for your online accounts needs to be different. It's very important.
So not one password for everything?
No, not even 2 passwords for everything. 3 passwords for everything. Every online account should be different. Your Amazon should be different from your Netflix. Should be different from your PlayStation Network. If you got any gamers in the class right now, all your passwords should be different. An example of this falling apart. I'm pretty sure all of you heard about Hillary Clinton's emails being exposed during the campaign. Like, how do you think they got that? How did they get her email? So I will admit, when the day came out on WikiLeaks, I took half a day and I read it. I went through it. One of the things I wanted to see was how on earth did they get this information out of her email system. So as I'm looking through all the email threads, I'm seeing people with AOL accounts and DNC accounts. I'm seeing people with Yahoo accounts and DNC accounts. And people are forwarding emails back and forth between their business and those personal email systems. AOL and Yahoo are 2 of the top worst secured email platforms out there. I can guarantee you that there's at least 100-something people in every single one of those email accounts. There's no privacy in that. So if you send something to someone from those accounts, somebody else sees it. And if your passwords are the same in your AOL or Yahoo and your business account or whatever, that's how they got into it. So that's just an example of the breakdown of having the same password for multiple accounts. If I compromise one, I'm going to go see how many others I can compromise. I'm going to go through your emails and see who you've been writing, and I'll probably start talking to them on behalf of you, looking like I'm you. So those are dangerous. The other thing is a secret question. Somebody have a question?
Well, I do. So if those 2 email providers are maybe some of the least secure, are you securing it by doing a 10-digit password?
You're securing it better, but one of the other ways to secure those email accounts is to use multi-factor authentication. So for those of you not familiar with what that is, when you log into a website, it's asking you for a username and a password. So that's single-factor authentication. That's just using something that you know, your password, it's in your head. Another factor of authentication you may have seen when you log into your website, it'll say, we're going to send a code to your phone. go ahead and type in this code after you type in your password, then we'll let you into your account. So that's using two-factor authentication, using something that you know, which is your password, and something that you have, which is your phone that has that code in it. And that's two-factor authentication. There's a third factor of authentication, which is the biometrics. So those are your fingerprints. I've got the iPhone X, so all I have to do is look at it and smile, and it will open right up. So it's using something that I am as the third factor of authentication. So something that you know, something that you have, and something that you are. Most online accounts just do something that you have and something that you know. So if you have an online account like a Gmail account and you do not have multi-factor authentication turned on, go turn it on. If you have a GoDaddy account or some other online account and multi-factor authentication is an option for you, you should turn it on. Because if somebody's able to compromise your password, they can do a lot of damage. But if they don't have your phone, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get into your system. So that's a huge tip. The other tip I have for you is to lie on your secret questions. Questions are how you typically reset your passwords if you forget them. But if you put your mother's maiden name on there, I can find that out. If you put your high school mascot on there, I can find that out. Using the first place you went on a honeymoon, it's highly likely that can be found out. People have left so much information in the social media realm. I don't know how many of you are Facebook users, but Facebook is a collection of a lot of people's personal information. I have seen posts on Facebook that say, what was your high school mascot? Put your answer in the comments, and I'll see thousands of comments with people's real names and their high school mascot. I've seen posts that come out and say, hey, what was your first car? What was your favorite vacation? And thousands of comments with people's real names and the answers. So over a period of time, how long has Facebook been around? Like 10 years? But just imagine the breadth of personal information from those questions. People are taking that information and aggregating it to launch cyber attacks against you. And they're very specific, targeted attacks because they know so much about you. So, one of the things I tell the kids that I mentor, I'm like, hey, everything doesn't have to go online. It doesn't have to go there. If you're about to go on vacation, don't post about going on vacation until you get back. Okay? Folks are casing your house, waiting for you to leave. So they know you're gone for 2 weeks, and they know you're in Machu Picchu or hiking some long trail in Spain. You definitely know what's close to your house. They're going to rob you. You're not going to see it for weeks after you get back. So be careful with that. So you're probably asking yourself, like, how am I supposed to keep track of a different password for all my accounts? I'm supposed to lie on my secret questions. I have secret questions for every online account I have. How am I supposed to keep up with it? That program I gave you, LastPass.com, is a great way for you to do that. All you have to do is remember one password, the most complicated password you could possibly remember, and that's the one that will unlock your vault that has all the rest of your passwords in it, got all the rest of your security questions in it. Any other personal secret information that you want to keep encrypted should go into LastPass.
So Rodney?
Yes.
So LastPass is an app that I would put on my phone, right? Or your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but it could go on my phone or my computer or my iPad, or it's just an app, so it can go just about anywhere, and I can have access to my passwords anywhere I'm located, as long as I have at least one of my devices.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty slick. I like it. Any questions on the whole password thing? Anyone?
Come on, guys. I know you guys have questions.
You're doing good for us.
I think they might still be in shock. So you've answered, Rodney, you've answered a couple of the questions, but and definitely what should we be doing at home? But what about our home computers, or home iPads, or, a lot of people have, smaller devices now. How do you back those up, or how do you protect those when, people are on the go and they throw it in their suitcase and they take it with them. Obviously, I'm not talking about theft. I'm talking about, a breach. So what should we be doing with our devices to protect ourselves for our PCs or devices at home?
Okay. So on the go, your mobile devices, your phones and stuff, there's some security stuff you should have in place. For all of you with iPhones, your phones are encrypted by default once you set it up with a password. Okay? All of you folks on Android phones, your phones are not encrypted by default. You have to go into your settings and encrypt your phone. You can Google how to do that for whatever phone you have. Android OS is typically the same across the board for a lot of the phones. The other piece for the Android phones, a lot of you have the expandable memory cards that can go inside of them. You have to encrypt those as well. So, a lot of times the data from your phone, if your phone is filled up with data, it'll start dumping that data to that external card. It'll take all your pictures and dump them to that external card. If somebody steals your phone, they can pop that card out and they can take all that information. And you don't want people to have your personal stuff. It's like being violated. You don't want people to take your things. So you want to make sure if somebody's able to break into your car or steal your phone, that all they have is a paperweight. That's what you want. The way you do that is setting up for the Android phones. The longer the password, the better. I know they have like a pattern password that you can use. The more complex the pattern, the better. For the iPhones, I know they have a lot of them have the biometrics and the face recognition, which is good. Some of them still use the PIN codes. The longer your PIN code, the better. So they have like a 4-digit PIN or like an 8 or 6-digit PIN that you can use. Use the 6. Use the longest one they have. That'll create better encryption for you. Let's see, what else? The timeout on your screen. So I can look at my phone and it's unlocked. And if I sit it down, almost immediately the phone locks. So, and you gotta, authenticate yourself with the phone in order to open it again. So maybe some of you that don't have that feature on your phone, you should turn that on. So your phone locks as soon as you walk away from it. Many of you have laptops, and you may want to go to Starbucks and hop on their free Google Starbucks Wi-Fi with your laptop. Those free wireless networks are dangerous. So many of you with the iPhones again, and many of the Android phones, it comes with like a hotspot feature in your phone. Use that if at all possible and stay off the public wireless networks, because people don't set those public Wi-Fis up correctly, and a lot of times other people can see you on those public guest wireless networks. That's because it was set up incorrectly. But if they can see you, they can hack the computer and end up putting something in your machine that you end up taking home or to somebody else's house, connecting to their Wi-Fi, and then the infection spreads, and they're able to get information from those people too. One of the questions that Jennifer was asking is like, why should I care? My information's been breached, Equifax has been hit. If you work for the government at any point in your life, the OPM that was hit, all the information's out there. So why lock it up now if it's already out? So you don't want to keep giving them ways to keep grabbing your information. There are new waves of attacks coming out. A lot of information has been sold, and since then, those people have been alerted. There's identity theft. There's been some type of cyber attack. They've gone and they've changed information. So now the information is changed, so somebody has to reacquire it to get new stuff. That's one reason. Another reason is because these cyber attack criminals will use your weaknesses to go after other people. They'll use the fact that you don't have a password on your computer at home to go into your machine. If you access your bank records online, they'll see you go to your bank account, and they'll see you type in your username and password. So when they go into your account later, they'll just use your same username and password and get right in. But how can we keep them from getting in with just a username and password? Set up multi-factor authentication. I know USAA has it. I know Bank of America has it. Florida Keys Federal Credit Union has it. That's why have my bank account at right now. But two-factor authentication is a really, really great way to protect yourself from those people exploiting just your usernames and your passwords. Another thing you can do at home, there was a Russian cyber attack about a month ago. You can actually look that up. I'll send you a link to it. I did a news report on Fox 21 about it. But home routers have been hacked by a cyber attack called VPN filter.
So everybody has a router.
Most people have an extra one. Some people may just have what their internet service provider gave them, and that'll be the only router and wireless device that they have in their house. But others have put a second device in after because it works better. The firewall is stronger and the wireless is more robust. So they'll go to Office Max or Best Buy and they'll buy a wireless router. And they'll set it up and put it in and see that it works, and they won't touch it again. So the problem with that is there's software updates that come out for those devices, those routers, that people don't run. They're called firmware updates. So based on whatever router you have, you can go and Google the make and model of your router and put a search in for update firmware. And there'll probably be a YouTube video that walks you through how to log in to your router, because your router has a website built into it that has all the configurations for it in there. And there's a section there for you to update your firmware. If you don't do that, you fall prey to the Russian cyber attack that happened about a month ago. You also fall prey to a wireless network hack that happened last fall called WPA2 crack with a K. WPA2 crack. So you can Google all this stuff I'm writing in here. So the WPA2 crack, WPA2 is an encryption that encrypts all the wireless signals. When wireless first came out, it was encrypted using a technology called WEP, Wireless Equivalency Protocol. And they hacked it, and they stopped using it. So then after WEP was done, they came out with WPA, Wireless Protected Access. And it got hacked, so they stopped using that. So now we've been using WPA2 for a long time. And last fall, it got hacked. And the way to fix that exploitation is to go into your router and run the firmware update. So imagine the people that were in shock with the VPN filter hack from the Russians that happened about a month ago. If those folks hadn't updated their routers since last fall, they're not only open to that one, but they also have their wireless networks are wide open. And the crazy thing about that WPA2 crack is that you can be anywhere within broadcast range of the wireless network, and you don't even need to know the key to get into the wireless network.
So Rodney, on something like that, can you automatically set updates, and do you recommend that? Because it sounds like the updates are kind of the important piece.
Yeah, the updates are important. The only devices that automatically prompt you to do firmware updates are your cell phones and your video game consoles. That's pretty much it. Everything else you have to go in and manually update. So if you have a wireless printer or a network printer in your house, there is firmware for that printer that needs to be updated. So you can look up the make and model of your printer and Google that in regards to firmware update, and it'll teach you how to go through and update the firmware on your printers. Your smart TVs in your house have firmware updates that they need. So if you haven't done that since you bought your television, you should go in and do that, because people will hack you.
This is so nuts doing all this.
Yeah.
What's that?
Somebody goes, this is nuts having to do all of this.
It is, but we are, we're in 2018 now, and, the world is becoming more online connected. And what's crazy is that the technology has outpaced the security. So, and the education for it is lacking. So that's why I'm glad Jennifer's got all of you folks online. I teach classes with the state of Colorado. I'm a cybersecurity consultant for the Small Business Development Center for the state. The Better Business Bureau is doing classes that I'm a part of. I'm on the board with the BVB here in Colorado Springs. So like I was saying before, education is the best piece. So now you're going to go and maybe have some wine with your friends. Be like, hey, I heard you guys shouldn't have the same password for everything. That's right, you shouldn't. And try to push them. I know it's a lot to take in, but these cyber attacks are relentless. They're not stopping. And they are banking on the fact that you won't take any measures to change. Breaking into businesses, and they're breaking into people's personal accounts so that they can go after larger targets. So everybody at home, you are a proxy for larger cyber attacks. On the same note of the firmware updates, there was another one last fall called the Mirai worm. So this one affected not only the routers, but your wireless security cameras that have never been updated, people's smart TVs that have never been updated, all the devices, your printers that have never been updated. So a virus went out to all those devices and it chained them all together to launch a cyber attack against Amazon.com, Netflix, the Adobe Creative Cloud, if you guys use Acrobat and all that kind of stuff. And it attacked them. And they were down for several hours, like half the day. And what was crazy is like the manufacturers like Linksys and Netgear, they're like, the exploitation that they use from our devices, we fixed it at least 2 years ago. It's just the fact that people are not updating their devices, which is why this was able to happen. So there is a lot of people out there that have not updated their devices, so you need to do those.
Rodney, what about I just had a couple of clients buy new cars, and the new cars now are all, it's like your own little drivable computer.
Yes.
So what's the exposure as people are buying new cars and they're syncing, or you go rent a car and it asks if you want to sync your phone to this rental car. So what's the exposure there with your own personal car that you've connected to, or obviously a rental car that you might connect to? Because I've started noticing that with my clients that, they're like, oh my gosh, my car does as much as my, phone, or, they take calls through their phone or through their car. So how is that exposing everyone?
So for the rentals, you should disconnect your phone before you give the car back. Because what's crazy about these, a lot of these rental cars that have the Bluetooth synchronizations, they also have cellular capability for 4G internet in the car. So you'll find, you've given a car back, you were doing your trip to Key West, Florida, and you're back in Colorado Springs now, and, you get an alert from the car that's in Pensacola, Florida now, because it wants you to know, where the car is, because your phone is still synced to that old car. So definitely in rental car situations, it's okay to pair it. It's pretty fun. I like those features. But once you're done with the car, disconnect your phone.
So nothing stays.
Yeah.
So once you okay. So it's just accessing your phone. It's not taking that information.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the cars that you own that have all those neat internet and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi features, I like those. I'm a fan of them. I think there's like a GMC Sierra that's calling my name that's got 4G in it. But there are some manufacturer issues, and those are things that we really can't we can't do anything about them right now. I've been reading some articles about some of the features where the car will keep itself in its lane, and folks being able to attack the systems that use that and swerve cars out of its lane. Yeah. So as these attacks keep happening, the remediations for them will happen after the fact. And it's just like a rat race. They're just trying to keep up. It's a vicious cycle. Some people want to abstain from the 21st century, and that's, of course, an option to do that. That's probably the best way to do it. No credit cards, no internet, nothing. Just stay away from it all. But it's not realistic for everyone, for most folks. So the reality is you have to stay vigilant. And you have to take these educational opportunities as they come and educate yourself, because the cyber criminals are banking on your ignorance to attack you. So if you have multi-factor authentication turned on, they'll probably pass by you, because there's enough accounts out there that don't have multi-factor authentication that are easier to break into than yours. So Nothing is 100%. I want to make sure I set the expectation. But you don't have to be low-hanging fruit here. You can raise your level of cybersecurity and cyber awareness to here, and it makes a huge impact.
Okay, Rodney, I just want to, I'm going to try to summarize a couple of things because, guys, Rodney and I've seen a couple of presentations, and I still learn something. Every time he speaks, I learn something. So, so I want to go over just a couple of things so we can all kind of be on the same page and make sure we've touched on. So obviously passwords, just making your passwords more complicated, and you recommend LastPass.
Yes.
LastPass.com.
Yeah.
I use something similar, but I'm probably going to switch over to that one just because I understand the differences of what I'm currently using in that. Multi-factor authentication. Guys, if you guys don't use it, it really isn't that hard. We use it here at work, and basically it sends me a 6-digit code on I get a text, I type it in, and I can access whatever I need to. And so multi-factor, I've been doing that. I understand that. That's a great way. And if you need to know more about it, you can Google it. You can email Rodney. You can email me. Lie on secret questions. That one was a new one to me. It makes complete sense. So, because I've answered, truthfully when they ask me a question, not on Facebook, but on my thing. So that one is a new one. Again, I did not know. I have seen the blue screen of death, but it never had a phone number. So that means somebody's hacked into you and made you think you've had the blue screen of death.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Sometimes it's a hack. Sometimes, it's an attempt to get you to initiate something.
Okay.
So all the security features that, we can put in place to keep the bad folks out of your systems, they're always trying to find new ways to get in. So the easiest way to do it is to take advantage of the people that you have, or to take advantage of your willingness to trust, an expert. There's a lot of psychology in it. So, Microsoft will call you on the phone, unprompted. They'll call you at your home and tell you, hey, your computer, is sending out a lot of viruses. This is, so-and-so from Microsoft, and, your computer's slow, isn't it? Like, isn't everybody's computer slow at some point? Like, you feel that way at some point in the week that your computer's slow. So, of course, they get you on that one. And they're like, yeah, I'm from Microsoft, we're certified, and, let's just go ahead and go to this website, and we can click this link so we can take over your machine and walk you through how to remediate these things. And they have a silver tongue. They're very good conversationalists, and they're very convincing. There's always some type of hint of urgency that should be a flag for you. The fact that it was an unsolicited phone call should also be a flag for you. But they don't have to get everybody. They just have to fool some of the people some of the time to turn this into a multi-billion-dollar global industry of fraud. So once they get you on the phone and you give them remote access to your computer, they're sending information to your computer to watch you, and they're also pulling information out. The whole time they're showing you, all these error codes that they're creating on your machine. And then the next thing they ask is like, hey, for $50 a year, some ridiculous amount, just let me get your credit card information, and we'll go ahead and take care of your computer for you all the time. And you'd be like, sure. And you give them your credit card information. I got your credit card information. You give them a bank card, like a debit card. It's hard to get that money back. The credit cards are a lot easier to get back with fraud, but the debit cards are tough, and they'll get you with those debit cards. So being vigilant is very important. You got to watch out for those. So tell your people, if you get a phone call from somebody unsolicited, just hang up.
Okay. So so that also leads me to just paying attention to your passwords, paying attention to your emails, and when you're getting ready to open something, if it looks fishy, don't open it. Obviously, we would love to think that Microsoft and Dell computers, or Apple or anybody would provide us with the level of customer service that but they're not. So if anybody's calling you, that's not something that. Sorry, I hit the wrong button here, making Rodney presenter again. So that's not going to happen. And then those are things that we can do fairly easily. The LastPass, the multi-factor. If we want to protect ourselves another level, then we start looking at the routers and the firmware and all the technology that we love in our house, but that is still exposing us if it has access to our system.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Another thing is free antivirus programs. Don't use them. They're no good. Don't use them. You can get you a paid antivirus program. There's a difference between an antivirus program and another type of program that does a lot more. We call it a UTM software suite. So UTM stands for Unified Threat Management. So not only is it doing the antivirus, it's also providing a firewall. It's also chaining all of your computers together that have that software in on it, and it's forming like a mesh type of network where all the computers kind of look out for each other. So if there's something going on your network or some type of data that's passing through that shouldn't be going through your network, it'll see it, flag it, and stop it, and alert you that it did that. So that's what Unified Threat Management software does. So many people use Norton antivirus or some type of Norton line of products. I don't recommend them. Norton is a consumer product by the Symantec Corporation. Symantec makes another line of products for their business side, their enterprise line, and they name everything Symantec, this, that, and the other. So the program you want to look into is Symantec Endpoint Protection. Symantec Endpoint Protection. Get rid of your Norton and use this. This program is $54.18 a year per computer, and it is a unified threat management software. So the antivirus runs, the firewall runs, that whole thing where it's looking for malicious traffic on your network, that's called intrusion prevention. It does all that too. It also plugs into your email to look for malicious messages as well. So it's multifaceted. It's very good. It doesn't slow your computer down like the Norton products typically do. And that's just one. There's a lot of other unified threat management softwares out there, but that one is one that I recommend.
Rodney, I have one more question, and then, guys, I don't mean to, I just know the questions you guys have been asking me, so I'm kind of turning this around and being the question asker. But and this is also a personal question. I can't stand it when people CC 15 people into something that you could blind copy on an email. When we get a lot of emails, and I get a lot of emails, but, maybe you've got a group of girlfriends from high school, and you guys just share the cute kitty videos, and you've got 15 people on there. Shouldn't you still be blind copying people? Because if you CC someone and it goes to somebody's computer, they now have your email address if that computer it went to isn't secure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Because if somebody's inside of your email, like a Yahoo or AOL or a lot of the other free ones, it'll go through that CC line. And it'll use those as people to target and write back a message.
Okay.
Yeah. And if one of those CC email accounts is compromised, you might get an email back that's CC'd to all those people too. I've seen that happen before.
Okay.
It'll be some type of malicious message. Oh, I love the pictures. You want to see mine? Click here. Click this link. Don't click the link. It's
okay.
bad. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've got just about 10 minutes or less. I'm unmuting everyone, so please, I know some of the people on this call, and they are good question askers. So, I know this has brought up a question or two, so please ask. And if you're on the phone, just, ask away. Oh, come on, guys. Don't be calling me with these questions because I'm not going to be able to answer them. Rodney's the expert here.
Okay, this is Jana. I have a question on the firmware. If you're getting it from a Comcast or something like that, don't they take care of the firmware? Is it only if you've added your own routers, not through them, that you have to worry about firmware?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. All right, great. So I asked a question,
another
Jennifer.
issue with the Comcast stuff. When they set up your systems, they use the default username and password for your cable modem. So that cable modem is like a router as well. It's got a username and password to access settings. The username is cussadmin. If you're using Comcast, it's cussadmin, all one word, all lowercase, and the password is highspeed, all lowercase, one word. Not only do I know that, everybody knows that. And when they set them up in your house, they leave it like that. So you want to make sure that you go in and you change the default username and password for your Comcast cable modem. That's for business and at home. And those of you
Can you just change your password without changing? Can you just change your password without changing your username?
Yes. Change the password.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not
Password's
talking
just
about your
easier to
wireless
change than
network.
username.
Yeah, I'm not talking
Right.
about your wireless network. The username and password to log into the configuration for your modem. Yeah. Change the password.
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Every 90 days.
Thanks, Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, someone else had a question.
I did. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
go ahead, Vicki.
It's Karen.
Karen, sorry.
That's all right. Often we get emails that do look suspicious, and one of the things that we've been doing, and we think this is correct, but is to look at that email and where it's coming from, and sometimes you can find out, and like they've come from Ireland or from the UK or someplace like that, and that just reinforces that we think it's a fishing expedition. Is that correct? Is that one of the things that will help us, or is that
Yes.
just effort?
That's a good way to be vigilant, is to look for those telltale signs. Look at the email address itself. So if it's coming from the source that you think it should be coming from, but then you look at the email address and it's all weird, that's a red flag.
These are often not the email address, but further down in whatever it is that they've sent me, sometimes at the very bottom it'll give you some corporate kind of thing, and then it'll say GRE or UK or Ireland again. I don't know how to explain what it is. It's just in tiny print at the very bottom, and that's one of the things we look for when we get these emails.
Well, it's good that you're looking. I saw one today for one of my clients. It was from Office 365, and it was a email for him to reset his password, and it was like an official Microsoft email. It had all the branding and the pictures, but the email address, like if you look at the address, it was like some weird address at hood.edu. I was like, wow. So, but the email looked great. So if you're not paying attention, they'll get you. So good job on paying attention to those details, spotting the fake.
This is Pam.
Mike raised his hand. Is that who I saw?
Oh, Pam. Yeah, go ahead, Pam.
I'm on the telephone. I had a meeting and was not able to be at the beginning of this forum. Is there going to be a link to get back to review some of this?
Well, Pam, I have to clear this through compliance, but since I'm hoping that this will be, I've recorded this. As soon as compliance approves it, I'm going to put it up on my website, and we'll send an email out to everyone. But if you'd like, you can give me a call, later today, and I can kind of give you kind of just some of the summaries. But unfortunately, without compliance approval, I can't let you guys listen to it until they approve it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Well, I have to say, Rodney, you did not disappoint. I always learn something when I hear you present, and so thank you so much for your time. What the plan is for everyone is we're going to do this once a quarter, and this was just the start of some of the things that we can do very easily to protect ourselves, because your doctor's office, your bank, your investments, your pictures, your email accounts, everything has IDs and passwords, and some of this is way more important than others, and you don't want to lose any of it. so this is why we're doing this, so you can get comfortable with video calls, with internet access. And so my goal is that we'll pick up a different topic, because I get these questions from you guys. So the fact is, Rodney's here because I've received these questions, or I do have a few clients that carry their little black book with all their passwords around in their purse, and that has put me into a big panic. So, if you have some ideas or thoughts or comments, or would like further information for next quarter's technology call, we want to keep this relevant, we want to keep this helpful, and we want this to be a benefit to you and to your friends and family. So if they weren't able to get on this call this time, maybe they'll be able to get on the call next time. So thank you guys for trying this out. And just so you know, some people called in, some people did the video, some people did both. So you can access this information a variety of different ways, and just know that you don't have to miss this information next time. If your video didn't work, you call in. If you're at the video next time, you'll be able to call in or be able to see what's going on, and you'll be able to see Rodney and me. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Rodney, we really appreciate that. Would you like to have a last word on what we should be doing to protect ourselves?
So when is the next one? You said it's once a quarter? So
it'll be once a quarter. It's when you and I, it'll probably be sometime in November or December.
Okay.
It'll be once a quarter.
As you folks roll into the holiday season and you start doing all that online shopping or shopping out in the community, be very careful with people trying to swipe your credit card. Those folks should be using the chip that's on your card. The swiping is incredibly vulnerable to cyber attack, and those companies that are still swiping are liable to damages. But that's what will hurt them, but you'll also be hurt because your card got compromised. So if you wanted to just drop them a hint, like, hey, I need you guys to stop swiping cards, you should do something better. If you're in Colorado Springs, have them call me, and I can help them with the whole credit card PCI compliance piece. And as you're shopping online, like a lot of the websites I sent you in the chat have HTTPS in the beginning of it. That means those sites have an encryption certificate on them. They're protected from cyber attack. If you're on a website to go buy something or enter any type of financial information or payment information, and you don't see that little lock in the corner of the website, don't put your information in there. As you're going into tax season and doing business with like dentists or chiropractors or any of these businesses that have like personal information that they deal with, if you don't see that little lock on the corner, be very skeptical, and you might not want to do business with them because they haven't taken care of like core hygiene for their business to stay safe. If they haven't done a web certificate, then they probably haven't done everything else to protect your information. So be on the lookout for that. And you have a right to ask whoever you do business with, how are you protecting my data? So ask them, how are you protecting it? Well, I have a managed IT provider, and we are encrypted up the wazoo, we're backing up all our stuff, and we're using these great passwords. Like, okay, great. If you ask your accountant this question, or your lawyer this question, like, well, we're not really doing a whole lot for that, like, you might want to think about doing business with those folks because they're not taking care of your personal information. And that's the information that's most important, and the one that the cyber criminals are after is your information. So ask the question from your people you do business with. You have a right to do that.
Rodney, thank you so much. And, gang, thank you so much for joining. You have any more questions, shoot us an email. Jeff and I, Jeff's on the call too, so if you call the office and ask Jeff a question, hopefully he was taking notes as well. So thank you, Rodney. Thank you, everyone. All you have to do now is just close out the window or the app that you're in, and you are now disconnected from the web call. So have a great day, guys, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Rodney.
You're welcome.